The World Series begins tonight. And I think if anyone would have guaranteed at the start of the season that the LA Dodgers and the New York Yankees would be facing each other in this year's World Series, they probably would have been laughed out of the room. But this isn't the first time these two juggernauts have met in the World Series. In fact, it will actually be their MLB record 12th meeting in the Fall Classic. And today, we're going to revisit some of those key meetings. Before we dive into their storied October history though, as always, I want to thank you all for your continued support and helping grow this channel the past few months. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button below, subscribe if you're new here, and tap that notification bell so you never miss any of my new content. One of the original Subway Series, these two teams first clashed in the Fall Classic in 1941, when Joe DiMaggio and Phil Rizzuto led the Yankees against Pee Wee Reese's Brooklyn Dodgers. The Yankees were returning to the World Series after a one-year hiatus, looking to win their 5th title in 6 years, while the Dodgers were looking to win their first championship in franchise history upon their return to the Fall Classic for the first time since 1920. The two teams exchanged wins in the first 2 games, with each team winning their respective game 3-2. Despite it being a tightly contested series where only one game featured either team scoring more than 3 runs, unfortunately for the Dodgers, their lack of postseason experience reared its ugly head, and they went on to lose 3 in a row and lose the series 4-1. Their next encounter would come 6 years later in 1947, the year that Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. With DiMaggio and a young rookie catcher named Yogi Berra leading the way, the Yankees faced off against the Dodgers' Pee Wee Reese and their own star rookie, the aforementioned Jackie Robinson, who would go on to win the inaugural MLB Rookie of the Year award that season. This would also be the very first World Series to be televised, albeit in just the 4 neighboring TV markets closest to New York. Now, with some World Series experience under their belts for many of the Brooklyn players, the Dodgers came back from an early 2-0 series deficit to win Game 3 and 4, and tied the series 2 games apiece, then alternated wins in Games 5 and 6 to push the series all the way to a decisive Game 7. Unfortunately for the Brooklyn boys, it was a case of deja vu, as even after they took a 2-0 lead early in Game 7, the Yankees would go on to score 5 unanswered runs to win the game 5-2 and claim their 11th World Series championship in what is to date the only World Series Game 7 the Yankees have won at home. 2 years later, the 1949 World Series pitted these rivals against each other yet again, both teams having finished the season with identical records and both exactly just 1 game clear in the standings. As all fans east of the Mississippi were able to tune in for the first time regardless of whether they were in the World Series team's region or not, Game 1 did not disappoint, as the game entered the 9th inning scoreless before old reliable Tommy Henrich hit the first walk-off home run in World Series history and gave the Yankees a 1-0 victory. Unfortunately for the Dodgers, the series ended up playing out exactly like their first meeting back in '41, with Brooklyn going on to win Game 2 before dropping the next 3 at home and losing the series 4-1. 1952 and 53 saw both teams clash in back-to-back World Series for the first time, and even though Joe DiMaggio was no longer roaming center field for the Yankees, having retired following the 1951 campaign, a young switch hitter by the name of Mickey Mantle had taken his place and helped lead New York to win in both series and a record 5 World Series championships in a row, a record that still stands to this day. After 1954 saw the crosstown New York Giants defeat the Cleveland Indians in the World Series, the Yankee-Dodger rivalry resumed in 1955. With team captain Pee Wee Reese at the tail end of his career, it was Duke Snider and Roy Campanella that led the Dodgers against Mickey Mantle and Whitey Ford's Yankees. In a throwback to their 1947 encounter, the first 4 games played out the same, with New York winning the first 2 before Brooklyn went on to win Game 3 and 4. After claiming victory in Game 5 as well, the Dodgers took a 3-2 series lead, with the series heading back to Yankee Stadium. The Bronx Bombers were able to win Game 6 5-1 to send the series to a decisive Game 7. After having held the Yankees to just 3 runs in a Game 3 victory, Johnny Padres took the mound in Game 7 for the Dodgers and went on to spin a gem, scattering 8 hits while tossing a complete game shutout, en route to being named the very first World Series MVP in baseball history, but more importantly, clinching the very first World Series championship in Dodgers franchise history. In what had easily become the Yankee-Dodger decade, the two teams would face off yet again the following year in '56. This time, it was the Dodgers that raced out of the gate, winning the first two before New York tied the series up with victories in Game 3 and 4. In Game 5, Don Larsen took the mound for the Yankees after having lasted only an inning and 2/3 just a few days earlier. Unlike his command in Game 2 though, Larsen spotted all his pitches in Game 5 as he pleased, retiring every batter he faced, 27 up, 27 down, en route to pitching the first and so far only perfect game in World Series history. Brooklyn would bounce back in Game 6, winning 1-0 to force a Game 7, but the Yankee lineup would not be held down for consecutive games, much less losing back-to-back World Series. The Yankees crushed the Dodgers in Game 7, scoring 9 runs en route to a 9-0 series-clinching victory and their 17th World Series title. This would mark the last Subway Series until the Mets-Yankees clash in the 2000 Fall Classic, as neither the Dodgers nor Giants would return to the World Series before their move west following the 1957 campaign. 1963 saw the rivalry resume, this time as East Coast versus West Coast rather than crosstown rivals. Even though New York had cruised to yet another pennant after a 104-57 campaign, come the World Series, they were completely shut down and dominated by the now Los Angeles Dodgers pitching staff. The quartet of staff ace Sandy Koufax, Don Drysdale, Johnny Padres, and ace reliever Ron Peronowski would go on to allow a grand total of 4 runs across the entire series, as the Dodgers would go on to sweep the Yankees 4-0, handing New York their first World Series sweep in team history up until that point. After 14 years, the two juggernauts would come face to face again in the 1977 World Series. Led by their offseason star free agent signing Reggie Jackson, the Yankees were looking to bounce back following a humiliating World Series loss a year prior at the hands of the Cincinnati Reds. New York won 3 of the first 4, with each victory coming in tightly contested games. After a Game 5 victory by the Dodgers, the series shifted back to the Bronx. Los Angeles took an early lead in Game 6, scoring 2 in the first and 1 in the third to go up 3-2. In the 4th inning though, the lore of Reggie Jackson's Mr. October was born. He crushed the first of 3 home runs in 3 consecutive at-bats, and the Yankees never looked back, winning the game 8-4 and the series in 6 to claim their 21st World Series title and their first of the Steinbrenner era. 1978 saw a repeat of 77, as the Yankees would go on to defeat the Dodgers in 6 games yet again, despite losing Game 1 and 2 in Los Angeles. In their final World Series matchup up until now, 1981 had Reggie Jackson and free agent signing Dave Winfield's Yankees face off against the Steve Garvey and Pedro Guerrero-led Dodgers. Despite New York's potent offense and being down 0-2 in the series, the recently passed Fernando Valenzuela-led pitching staff roared back to hold the Yankees off just enough to win Game 3, 4, and 5 by 1 run each, before drubbing Yankee pitching in Game 6 as they cruised to a 9-2 victory and their 5th championship in franchise history. And now here we are 43 years later. As the stars of years past look on, what players this year will etch their names in this bitter rivalry's lore that has stretched back through the decades? Will the stars of names like Shohei Ohtani or Aaron Judge shine brighter than ever? Or will unexpected names arise to lead the charge and cement themselves in baseball history? Only time will tell. This series, these teams, this rivalry. This is what baseball is all about. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on my thoughts and opinions in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed the video, please don't forget to hit the like button below, subscribe, and ding the notification bell if you're new here so you don't miss any of my new content. I'm TK, and I'll catch you all next time here on the Baseball Blues.